of people that I've worked with and said, what are you talking about? What is this charge? So I'm absolutely, it somehow got lumped on mine. I think it must have been a mistake, so I'm not sure.
Okay, we were talking briefly about the on the petitions about the removing and circumventing of the mayor's authority to nominate committee appointments. And again, I was saying that the original charter of the City of Grants Pass had the council appointing persons to serve in committees. In 1987, the council gave that up to the mayor. And the way I understand it, the council took that back. Is that an accurate way? It's got you, all four of you, down on this thing, the disruption of this historic check and balance. Is that an accurate one? Who wants to start? Well, let's see. We'll let Rob go first.
I know a couple of the other guys here have their charters out and are ready to quote. I'll let them do that because I would just be paraphrasing. But in a nutshell, the charter specifically says that this is an authority that the council has to appoint all the committees and commissions and so forth. Back in '87, there was a resolution that made it a shared responsibility, and what it said was that the mayor would make recommendations, and with council approval, they would be taken forward. Matter of fact, but what happened was recently, and some of the other guys have the details, is that the mayor actually decided it was no longer going to be shared. And when he decided that it wasn't going to be shared, at that point, then the council said, well, look, that wasn't the agreement, that wasn't the original resolution. And I know that essentially, evidence to that effect was back 2 years ago when Mayor Holzinger actually brought then citizen Mike Murphy forward for the position on the Arts Committee. And at that time, the council, I believe it was Councilor Wendell, had a better, or a different, I should say, someone that they liked a little bit more. And the council at that time voted down the mayor's suggestion of Citizen Murphy for the Arts Commission. And at that point, he very graciously deferred, and he actually allowed the council to make their appointment. Okay, that was not what Mayor Murphy did this year. He decided he was going to change what had happened. And at that point, the council said, well, no, that's not how it's going to go. You can't basically take some of our authority away, because that's not what the charter says. So I think, again, if we actually look at history and look at what happened back 2 years ago, that mayor was very gracious and when he deferred to the council, and for whatever reason, this particular mayor felt differently.
Mark, you want to comment on that?
Well, I was just going to, the charter is very specific. The council may create and abolish boards and commissions as it deems necessary, and may make such appointments to and remove from such boards and commissions as provided by state law. So the word shared is the way I look at it. The council at that time, back in '87, I believe was the year, okay, in '87 felt like it would be a nice duty to share. I even felt that this council was more than willing to share at the same time, but the council does have the ultimate authority as per the charter. So we offered to exercise that authority on a couple of occasions, and the mayor basically said no, and so we had to reassert the charter, which definitely is a bigger power than any resolution or ordinance. So that's the way it went. It really wasn't probably the way we wanted it to go. We probably would have continued on that way.
Bill Kangas, comment?
Yeah, and he just read the charter. I have it in front of me too. I talked to Mike as council president. I talked to Mike 2 times, and I said, Mike, can we settle this somehow so we can, if we don't want your appointment, can we go ahead and make ours? And he said no. So we did, as Mark just said, we went back to the charter, because the charter is specific, and that the council can appoint and abolish boards. And I thought, I wish we didn't have to do that. I thought, I'm a person, I have a degree in psychology and counseling, and I'd like to get things worked out. And I thought, can we just work this out so we don't have to do this? But we did. But we are now back at the charter. And I talked to one of the petitioners, who's not here, I talked to one of the petitioners about this charge and explained it to him, and he said, well, you know, he says, I didn't vote on the charter. And I told him, I said, well, I didn't vote on the Constitution, but we do follow our Constitution. And the charter I did vote on. So then the people have spoken on this charter, and until we change this charter here, there's 7 pages here, we have to follow this charter. And if we have to go back to it for any reason, that's up to the council to do that. To go back if we went away and shared responsibility. So, and hold up the red flags, because we there you go. We did share the responsibility last year. I was on the council when the mayor put Mike Murphy's name forward for the Arts Committee, was turned down by the council, and I'm not sure if it was who it was that brought it up, but they brought up Pat Enos, and she was voted on and put on in place of Mike, and that was the council that did that. So they did, and the mayor had no problem at all with relinquishing that power, put up the red flags. So, but I was at that meeting, so thank you.
Well, you were more in the last comments here regarding this of checks and balances, circumventing the mayor's authority to nominate committee appointments.
Yeah, I think they did more than an adequate job of covering that, and I won't take any more time because it would just be repetitive.
Okay. Again, the question I think that everyone's got to face is what you've just heard, is that a recallable offense? It would vote you to vote yes to recall. Those are the questions that voters will ultimately face. Next is for Mark, Rob, and Ward again, so Bill's off the hook on this particular one. And again, it's not real specific, and this is one of the issues that I think you're facing. Reckless disregard for the city attorney and the finance director's advice. I read several pieces about some of this, but reckless, the word reckless is in there. Reckless disregard of the city attorney and the city finance director's advice. What is that stemming from? Where did that come from? And Ward, we'll let you start then.
You know, that's a good question. The word reckless disregard, I have no idea what they're referring to. I do know that in grants past that the city attorney is hired by the city manager. And in many cities, the city attorney is hired by the city council. And here he's hired by and accountable to the city manager rather than the city council. And we may have at times, I know we did, I won't say we may have, at times we did not always agree with the city attorney, or maybe we even sought another opinion. But to say reckless disregard, I think is not factual, and it's not specific, as most of these charges aren't. And so I would disagree with reckless disregard.
All right, Rob, comment on that?
Well, certainly the word reckless is very questionable, and disregard I would also take issue with. Just because different attorneys have different opinions, each one of them is certainly worth listening to, and I never disregarded any attorney's position on anything. But with regards to one of the biggest issues, of course, is when in June, when we had to vote, when we chose to vote on termination of the city manager, our city attorney was quite clear. I have a copy of the memo that he gave us about his advice, and you know, he actually read this letter the night of that issue, the night of that vote, when he said that he understood that there were councilors that may have been wanting to, may even have lists of things that they were going to say. At least that was his understanding, and he advised the council not to do that. And I believe his advice was followed that night. I also believe his advice was followed when he said that the action that we wanted to take that night could be done possibly most effectively with a motion, although it's a resolution and a motion, but his statement is quite clear, and I have copies of that here also if anyone would like to see it. I believe we followed his advice very closely there as well, and I feel that I've never disregarded any of our city attorney's advice. I believe I've listened to all of it, and I believe that we've actually acted in a very consistent manner. And without specifically knowing, again, it'd be great if the the people who level these allegations were here without specifically knowing what they're talking about. I can't possibly agree that I disregarded any of our attorney's advice, certainly not recklessly.
Mark Towns, comment?
Well, I'm probably just going to be stating the same thing